हरे कृष्णा अनिरुद्ध सेवा प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु जी.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Hare Krishna.
You are able to hear me, Prabhuji? Okay.
Yes, yeah.
We are ready to start, Prabhuji.
Then time is up, no?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Prabhuji, should I share the sloka or you will be sharing the sloka, Prabhuji?
You can share, Prabhu. You can share.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Today we are very fortunate to have the association of His Grace Aniruddha Seva Prabhu, who will be sharing the nectar from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 5, chapter number 2, sloka number 4 and 5. Chapter is titled as The Activities of Maharaj Agnidhra.
Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. We can start, Prabhuji.
Yeah. We'll start with the small kirtan.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Jaya Radha, Shama Sundar Radha, Shama Sundar Radha. Jaya Radha, Murlidhar Radha, Murlidhar Radha. Jaya Radha, Damodar Radha, Damodar Radha. Radha Ramana Radha, Ramana Radha. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Radha. Jaya Radha Vinoda Radha, Vinoda Radha. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannath. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannath. Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan Dham. Vrindavan Dham, Jaya Vrindavan. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva. Pancha Tattva, Jaya Pancha Tattva. Jaya Shad Goswami Gan, Jaya Shad Goswami Gan. Shad Goswami Gan, Jaya Shad Goswami Gan. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Gauranita, Jaya Gaurani. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jam Shpar Param Spratka Stotra Dasos. His doing grace by Charan Bhakti Ram Samshla Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. ISKCON Samstapka Chashla Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jagat Guru Shla Prabhupada Maharaj ki jai. Jam Shpar Param Spratka Stotra Dasos. His doing grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacha Shla Hardas Thakur ki jai. Prem Sukha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Radha Kundi Sham Kundi Giri Govardhan ki jai. वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय, मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय, जगन्नाथपुरी द्वारका धाम की जय, गंगे में यमुना माई की जय, तुलसी भक्त देव की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवत की जय, हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, श्रील प्रपात ट्रांसलेट बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, all glories to assemble duties, all glories to assemble duties, all glories to assemble, all glories to all glories श्री गुरु श्री गौर गौर प्रेमानंद पवित्र पावन कार्तिक दामोदर मास की जय. Hare Krishna. So welcome devotees for today's Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya session, and we'll be reading from the 5th canto, 2nd chapter, 4 and 5th verses. I'll start with my prayer. Om Agnantimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakya Chakshuruniltamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadam Mahim Dudati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Virupam Sagrajadam Saganaraganatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Shubhana Sute Devi Pranamami Harite Vancha Kalpatarupsha Kupa Sindhu Kev Patitanam Pavane Vaishnave Namo जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री द्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेव्यम् भगवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी. Yeah. So reading from the 4th shloka. Sacha tad Ashramo Pavanam Atiramaniyam Vividha Nivida Vitapi Vitapa Nikara Samslishta Purata Latharuda Sthala Vihangama Mitunaihi प्रोच्यमाना श्रुतिभिः प्रतिबोध्यमाना शलिला कुक्कुट कराण्डव कलाहां शाद्दिभिर्विचित्रम् उपकूजितामल जलशाय कमलाकरम् भ्रामा स च तत् अश्रमोपवनम् अतिरमणीयं विविधा निबीड विटापनिकर संश्लिष्ट पुरतलथारूढस्थल विहङ्गम मिथुनै प्रोच्यमाना श्रुतिभिः प्रतिबोध्यमान शलिला कुक्कुट काराण्डव कलाहां शदिभिर्विचित्रम् उपकूजितामल जलशाय कमलाकरम् भ्रमा. Translation, word by word meaning and translation. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sa Shri Purvachitti Cha also that also Tat of Maharaja Agnidra Ashrama of the place of meditation, Upavanam the park, Ati very, Ramaniyam beautiful, Vividha varieties of, Nibida dense, Vitapi trees, Vitapa of branches and twigs, Nikara masses, Samshlishta attached, Purata golden, Lata with creepers, Arudha going high, Stala Vihangama of land birds, Mithunai with pairs, Prochyamana vibrating, Shrutibihi pleasing sounds, Pratibhodya Mana responding, Shalila Kukuta waterfall, Karandava ducks, Kala Hamsa with various kinds of swans, Adibihi and so on, Vichitram variegated, Upa Kujita resounding with the vibration, Kamala clear, Jala Ashaya in the lake, Kamala Akaram the source of lotus flowers, Upabha Brahma began to walk in. Translation. The Apsara sent by Lord Brahma began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where the king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because of the dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds such as peacocks, and in a lake there were ducks and swans all vibrating very sweet sounds. Thus the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and the sweet singing of various kinds of birds. So there is no purport. We'll go to Shloka 5. Tasyaha sulalita gamana pada vinyasagati vilasayas chanu padam khana yamana ruchira charna bharana swanam upakarnya naradeva kumaraha samadhi yogena milita nayana nalina mukula yugalam ishad vikachaya vyachashta tasyaha sulalita gamana pada vinyasagati vilashayas chanu padam khanaya mana ruchira charna bharana swanam upakarnya naradeva kumaraha samadhi yogena milita nayana nalina mukula yugalam ishad vikachaya vyachashta. Word by word meaning, translation purport, Shloka Prabhupada. Tasyaha of her Purva Chitti, Sulalita in a very beautiful Gamana movements, Pada Vinyasa with styles of walking, Gati in the progression, Vilayasaha whose pastime, Cha also, Anupadam with every step, Khanaya Mana making a tinkling sound, Ruchira very pleasing, Charana Abharana of the ornaments on the feet, Swanam, the sound. Upakanya, hearing. Naradeva Kumara, the prince. Samadhi, in ecstasy. Yogena, by controlling the senses. Amilita, half open. Nayana, eyes. Nalina, half lotus. Mukula, buds. Yugalam, like a pear. Ishat, slightly. Vikachaya, opening. Vyachashta, sa. Translation. As Purochiti, translation for Shila Prabhupada. As Purochiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnidhara was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half open eyes, he could see her with the lotus like eyes. And when he heard the sweet tinkling of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. It is said that yogis always think of Supreme Personality of Godhead within their hearts. Dhyanavastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yoginaha. 12.3.1 Srimad Bhagavatam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always observed by yogis who practice controlling the venomous senses. As recommended in Bhagavad Gita, yogis should practice sampreksha nasikagram, keeping their eyes half open. If the eyes are closed completely, there will be a tendency to sleep. So-called yogis sometimes practice a fashionable form of yoga by closing their eyes and meditating, but we have actually seen such so-called yogis sleeping and snoring while meditating. So, but we have actually seen, this is not the practice of yoga. To actually practice yoga, one should keep his eyes half open and gaze at the tip of his nose. Although Agnidhara, the son of Priyavrata, was practicing mystic yoga and trying to control his senses, the tinkling sound of Puruchitti's ankle bells disturbed his practice. Yoga Indriya Samyamaha. Actual yoga practice means controlling the senses. One must practice mystic yoga to control the senses, but the sense control of a devotee who really engages in service of the Lord, his purified senses, Sushitena, Rishikesha Sevanam, can never be disturbed. Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati therefore stated, Durdantendriya Kala Sarpa Patali Protkhata Damstrayate Chaitanya Chandramrita 5. The practice of yoga is undoubtedly good because it controls the senses, which are like venomous serpents. When one engages in devotional service, however, completely employing all the activities of the senses, the service of the Lord, the venomous quality of the senses is completely nullified. It is explained that a serpent is to be feared because of its poisonous fangs. But if those fangs are broken, the serpent, although it seems fearsome, is not at all dangerous. Devotees therefore may see hundreds and thousands of beautiful women with fascinating bodily movements and gestures, but not be allured, whereas such women would make ordinary yogis fall. Even the advanced yogi Vishwamitra broke his mystic practice to unite with Menaka and beget a child known as Shakuntala. The practice of mystic yoga, therefore, is not sufficiently strong to control the senses. Another example is Prince Agnigara, whose attention was drawn to the movements of Puruchiti the Apsara, simply because he heard the tinkling of her ankle bells, in the same way that Vishwamitra Muni was attracted by the tinkling bangles of Menaka. Prince Agnidhara, upon hearing the tinkling bangles of Puruchiti, immediately opened his eyes to see her beautiful movements as she walked. The prince was also very handsome, as described here. His eyes were just like the buds of lotus flowers. As he opened his lotus-like eyes, he could immediately see that the Apsara was present by his side. Next one. Om Gnantivrandasya Gnananjana Shalaka Chakshunitama Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So we are in this fifth canto, which is called the Creative Impetus, the title of the canto, and there are several important topics in this creative impetus. Most important prominent is actually the spiritual, the material world which is there today, and which is perceived as a Vedic cosmology. So that is given in this fifth canto. So of course now we are studying some of the lineages, some of the families, and some of the kings in this discussion. But later on, in the end, when the description of the Jambudvipa comes, there the entire movement of the planetary systems, the sun, all the creation, the cosmic creation. So that is explained very nicely. And based on this fifth canto only, Prabhupada desired that we should have a Vedic planetarium. So that is how the temple of Vedic planetarium was first discussed by Prabhupada, and sometimes in 1970s, 70s, early 70s. And the first recipient of that instruction was actually one of the first recipients were His Holiness our Guru Maharaj Jayapatakasoma Guru Maharaj Bhavananda. I think that time was Swamiji, and then he became a Prabhu. So Bhavananda was there, and then luckily Prabhupada also got the his dearmost disciple, the son of Henry Ford, great grandson of Henry Ford, Alfred Ford, who met him in Miami, yeah, other islands in the US, and who later became Amrish Das, the multimillionaire devotee. So he also Prabhupada also proposed with him several times that we should have this Vedic planetarium. And he knew very well that Amrish Prabhu was capable, because he was already a very wealthy person. He had a lot of money, and then he also had that interest. He was also, took to Krishna consciousness very quickly, just as soon as he met Prabhupada. And then there were several temples which he contributed to building in America. And so Prabhupada knew that he had that capability and was the right person. So he instructed him also that you should take up this Vedic planetarium. And he gave the guidelines. So like that, this chapter is very, very interesting. Of course, if you go through those chapters where it explains about the Sumer Parvat and all the various mandalas which are there, where we are existing in this earthly planet, we are not able to see any of this Sumer Parvat, nothing. Actually, Sumer Parvat is a huge gold mountain, but we are not able to see where it is. So like that, this is all really inconceivable and incomprehensible for our material mind, but still these are there. And somewhere, as the time passes, probably all this will be revealed to us. So this is that chapter, this is that canto. And as we also understand, very interestingly, that the beginning of Bhagavatam, as far as the families are concerned, we know that the first Prajapati was Swayambhu Manu, and he and Shatarupa both were actually formed from a single, you can call at the same time, one with a male form and one with a female form. Actually, again, this is the Leela of the Lord, that he created this Shatarupa and Swayambhu Manu, and both this couple united, and then they started creating the progeny on this earth. And for them, they had two sons. One is the Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and they had three daughters. Who are they? They are Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti. So Akuti married Ruchi, Ruchi, and then Devahuti married Kardama, and Prasuti married Daksha. So very interestingly, there is no talk of Priyavrata family initially, or there is no talk of Uttanapada family initially. As we know, Uttanapada's son Uttanapada had two wives, and Dhruva and Uttam were the two sons. And coming to on the boys' side, I mean the elderly son, Priyavrata. Priyavrata, now we are reading Priyavrata's story, actually, right? In the fourth canto, we started understanding about Priyavrata. And Priyavrata was the one who uh, created, by wielding his chariot all over the earth, he created those seven islands and the seven continents. So, like that, this is there. And that too, it comes after Prithu Maharaj's introduction, Prithu Maharaj's all that discussion. So it's very interesting how Bhagavatam has taken shape. And only in the fifth canto we talk of Priyavrata. And in the fourth canto we already talked about Uttanapada and his son Dhruva, because we read about Dhruva's pastimes. And interestingly, among the daughters, Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti, first it started off with Devahuti, or right from Varaha Avtara, where Varaha Avtara, then it talks about Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. We discussed about that. And Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha, as we know, were the sons of Diti. And who is Diti? Diti is actually daughter of Daksha. Daksha and Prasuti were the Daksha. Prasuti was the third daughter. So like that, it starts with that, the third daughter. A lot of history is covered about them. Then Aditi's history comes. Aditi is also one of the daughter of Daksha. And Aditi and Kashyapa Muni, from that Kapil Dev comes. And so that discussion goes on in the third canto. And after Kapil Dev's instructions to Devahuti, then we come to the fourth canto. And in the fourth canto, we have discussion about yeah, one second, let me. Yeah, discussion about Daksha Prajapati. While the daughters of Manu are being discussed, so Sati is also one of the daughters. So interestingly, the daughters of the Daksha is covered more initially, like Diti, Aditi, and then Sati. And we know how Sati took her life because of this injustice done, and then she was humiliated. And Daksha's lesson. Then it comes to we talk about the Bhagavatam talks about Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj is again the son of Uttanapada. So like that, Dhruva Maharaj's pastimes are mentioned. And recently, as we know, Dhruva Maharaj did his penance in Madhuvan. And recently, when we had gone on a Vrajamandal Parikrama, so we did see that, went to that place where Dhruva Maharaj actually performed penance. It's actually from Mathura. When we come down south, there is a village called Maholi. Actually, today people don't know about this Madhuvan. Madhuvan is one of the 12 vanas in Vrindavan, and people don't know much about. They don't. If you tell them we have to go to Madhuvan, they don't identify. But they are now that village is called Maholi. That Maholi, and then we go inside deep into the village. From Mathura, we have to walk around 10 kilometers, 10 to 15 kilometers inside from the highway, and go inside reach the village, and inside the village go about 6 kilometers. Then we get into the forest, dense forest, very today also it is still green. And there we get this Dhruvatila. And Dhruvatila is that temple where Dhruva is worshipped, and along with that some of the deities are also there, Vishnu and all that. And then beyond that, if you go, there is the small hill where Dhruva actually performed his penance. And it's a big temple which is constructed there, like a circular hall, not a circular, a square hall is there. And that is a place where Dhruva had the appearance of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu gave his appearance there, gave him the darshan. And there we find Vishnu's deity, then we find Uddhav's deity, and several other Narada Muni. All these important personalities are there. So it's amazing place. Continuous kirtan is going on. still villagers go there, and a lot of Sevakartas are there. Pandas and Purohits are always chanting the glories of the name, and Bhagavatam is recited. So amazing place. Dhruva Maharaj, where he did his penance tapasya, and where he got darshan of the Lord. So that is that Dhruva Maharaj's descendants, and that was there. And then descendants of Dhruva Maharaj, then we came to Vena, Prutu, and after Prutu Maharaj's son, then we come to Prachina Barhi, Prachetas, and in the fifth canto, we are going back again to Priyavrata, and from Priyavrata, we are now come to his son, Agnidhara. So this is just the small introduction. While I was preparing for the class, I thought that these things should be, these things came to my light, and I thought that these should be shared to the devotees. So as we come to this chapter, second chapter, so we know that Priyavrata was also a great devotee, the Lord. He was actually completely renounced. Then he again he had gone to the forest to perform penances, but again due to the princely or the kingly Kshatriya requirements, he had to come back again to the materialistic life, and then he continued, and then he begetted many sons, 9 sons actually. Among the 9 sons were one of them is Agnidhara. Actually, Agnidhara, I think, is the first son. Yeah, in this chapter, the character of Maharaja Agnidhara is described. When Maharaja Priyavrata went off for spiritual realization, his son Agnidhara became the ruler of Jambudvipa in accordance with Maharaja Priyavrata's instructions, and maintained its residence with the same affection a father feels for his sons. So, and Maharaja Agnidhara desired to have a son. So that's how he came to this Mandara mountain, so to practice austerity. And understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purochitti, and Apsara, so that she disturbs his penance. Why? Because Brahma is actually in the creation. These are all the early creation times, and he's the Prajapati, the chief Prajapati, or he's the one who is in charge of populating the entire earth. And how he can allow, if everybody goes in the spiritual path and nobody want to beget the child, then how there will be progeny, or how there will be population in the world. So he had his own plans, and Brahma sent Agnidhara so that she can take Agnidhara into her custody, and by all her sensuous moves, by her captivating talks, Agnidhara also falls in love, and then he gets married, and they can beget more children. So that way, the earth is getting populated. So this is the typical plan of Brahmaji, because he has a bigger responsibility. So for that purpose, he had to do. So in the first shloka, as we see, after his father Maharaj Priyavrata departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidhara completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambudvipa, as if they were his begotten sons. So he went there, and the fourth shloka, we see that how the park was there, how it was described, the place where where the Mandara mountain was there when he was meditating, and how it was with the beautiful park with the dense green foliage and golden creepers, various birds like peacocks and swans, ducks, all these were there, vibrating sweet sounds. So it was the best of the serene places, and neat, clean place with lot of flowers and bumblebees, all these things, bumblebees and kinds of birds were there. So it was ideal for the practitioner, a sadhaka, or a meditator. So that is described. And in the fifth one, this is the shloka which we read. As Purochiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnidhara was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half open of her bangles, he opened his eyes more slightly and could see that she was just nearby. So, in this now, Prabhupada gives this wonderful narration. So, it is said that yogis always think of Supreme Personality of Godhead within their hearts. So, Prabhupada also talks about that Dhyanavastita. Just a minute, I'll open that shloka. 12 point, very important shloka. Yeah. So this is the shloka. Sutta Goswami said, unto that personality whom Brahma, Varuna, Indra, Rudra, and Marutas praise by chanting transcendental hymns and reciting the Vedas with all their corollaries, Padakramas, and Upanishad, to whom the chanters of the Samaveda always sing, whom the perfected yogis see within their mind, after fixing themselves in trance and absorbing themselves within him, and whose limit can be never be found by any demigod or demon. Unto that Supreme Personality of Godhead, I offer my humble obeisances. So here, literally, each and every entity, despite whether they're demigods, whether they're yakshas, kinkaras, rudras, Gandharvas, all these, each one of them are actually singing the glories of the Lord, and with in their own sweet arrangement of the words and letters, they are always chanting, similar to the Samaveda chanters, because Samaveda is that Veda which is only about singing the slokas or the mantras in a very mellifluous way, in various meters. Samaveda has to be, if you have to hear Samaveda, it's very, very sweet. And Samaveda is not like reciting any other mantras, but it has to be sung always. So that is very pleasing to the Lord. So this Samaveda, this is also there. And apart from this, the yogis are also there, who are already fixing their mind, transfer, and many Atmaramas, despite them being fully satisfied in serving the Lord, and despite being fully liberated, but still they want to glorify the Lord always, and they can never find saturation. So like this, whether it's a demigod or a demon, ultimately they are all completely surrendered to the Lord, attracted to the Lord. And to that Supreme Lord, I offer my humble obeisance. This is one of the prayers of the Lord, which Prabhupada always keeps mentioning. Dhyana vastita tadgatena manasa pashyantiyam yogino yasyantam navidu surasura gana devaya tasmai namaha. So like that, even demonic people also, when they're, for example, Kamsa was there. Although he was demoniac, although he was thinking of, ill about Krishna, but he was always meditating. And Krishna gave him the benefit that he was always, remembering me. He's always doing the smarana. And same to Shishupala. Shishupala was also meditating on Krishna. He was cursing him. He was doing kirtana, but in a very, in a offensive way. He was scolding him. He was putting words which is actually abusing Krishna. But still, Krishna considered that as his glorification, because he was always chanting and glorifying. He was thinking of him. So both were delivered actually. So like that. Of course, they are very special devotees who can do that. Not we as ordinary sadhakas or ordinary devotees, we cannot imitate them. But even they are getting benefited. They are also getting delivered. The demonic also, like Jaya Vijaya, were actually the devotees, and they came in different forms. And in each of the forms, all of them were delivered. In all the three yugas, they came and they were delivered. So that is the greatness of the Lord. And here, so Prabhupada is further talking that Supreme Personality of Godhead is always described by the yogis who practice controlling the venomous senses. As recommended in Bhagavad Gita, yogis should practice sampreksha nasika gram, keeping their eyes half open. So, as chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita also, we understand that meditation or the dhyana yoga meditation has to be done not by closing the eyes. Dhyana yoga is not that you close your eyes and then you think of meditating. It is not going to be possible because our senses or organs are so very fragile that you will fall off asleep when you close your full eyes. So the right way of doing dhyana yoga is actually half close your eyes, but concentrate the look from your half closed eyes at the tip of the nose, and there you invoke Lord Paramatma, Paramatma feature of the Lord, where you can Krishna's Paramatma feature, and then return him in the heart. You have to take him back without any unflinching, unwavering distraction. So, and that how many years or how many days or how many hours? It goes on for years to years, not just few hours or few days. You have to concentrate and hold that Paramatma feature of the Lord continuously for ages together. And only then, after several hundreds and thousands of years of uninterrupted meditation of the Paramatma feature of the Lord, and taking him, seeing him in the half-closed eyes, at the tip of the nose, and at the same time in the heart of the devotee, then only he can get the Paramatma realization. And from that Paramatma realization, he can understand the opulence of the Lord. He can understand the Leelas of the Lord. He can get into the Leelas of the Lord. So like that, he can enter into the spiritual realm of the Lord, that yogi. So that top class yogi can really get liberated. Otherwise, he cannot go back to Godhead. So we can imagine how tough and how difficult it is for any ordinary soul to do this yoga practice. As Prabhupada says, whenever people start doing yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Sudarshana Kriya, so many Kriyas and so many yogas, so many asanas, and they think that they'll do meditation. And the moment they start doing that for a few minutes, then they start snoring and they'll be sleeping, they'll fall off asleep. So like that. It's very, very difficult. So there's no question of doing this meditation in this Kali Yuga. So people, but still they want to practice. But at the end of the day, unless they are doing that yoga in the real, the strict sense, how the scriptures are describing, then it is not going to be of any benefit. It is just going to be shrama evahi kevalam, waste of time. And with that, they are not going to achieve any great spiritual benefit. They might get some bodily benefit, some pranayama. By doing that, they can control the air, they can increase their life air capacity. So some benefits are there which might help them keeping their body fit. But just by keeping the body fit and drying up your atma or the soul is of absolutely no use, and that they will face it later, and they will succumb to the sways of Maya. And one very important, again, in the second para, very important point which Prabhupada also highlights is about the yoga indriya. Like typically when we talk of yoga, all these yoga practice, mystic practices, it is all about today's understanding is that that they want to control their senses, and how much one can control the senses is again depending upon one's capacity, and it is not so easy. And especially in this age of Kali, in the age of quarrel, age of disturbance, it is impossible to control anyone's senses, because we are so much bombarded with Maya and Maya's agency, that always left, right, center, down, bottom, wherever you see, you are attracted to some or the other forms of Maya's agents, and they will always try to allure you. All the five senses want to enjoy unlimitedly. Not that it is limitedly, but unlimitedly they want to enjoy. So today's materialistic person is actually fighting a war with Maya, uh, not to avoid the Maya, but how to, where I should, which sense I should use first, where I should prioritize, which satisfaction is important to me. So like that, this struggle is happening today. It is not that he's thinking that by doing that he's enjoying, but actually he's into a bigger trap. Every time he gets into this Maya's agents, gets attracted to them, he actually is in a bigger trap, and then he cannot succumb. It's only today everybody is doing prioritizing. That's all, trying to add comfort in a very painful situation. The more they try to do that, the more they are going to suffer at the end of the day. So people want to forget their miseries. They will have loads of miseries, loads of pains, loads of suffering, because of their bad relationships, because of their personal behavior, because of their attitudes, and they want to forget it by intoxication. Actually, they are creating more problems. They will again have more bad moods, the more bad tendencies, and more bad behavior, more bad relationship, illicit relationship, and again they will succumb. So there is no end to it. So this is the today's situation, and people are still not coming to sense. So this control of senses is not going to be that easy. Actually, the more you try to, it is like the more you try to control, the more the chances that it will that you will fail or you will falter, because the attraction, allurement to sense enjoyment is very high compared to the controlling capacity. Like it is like if you take a bamboo stick, and then if you try to bend it, how much can you bend? There is a pressure point. Up to such pressure point you can bend it, and beyond a point, if you bend it, what is going to happen? The bamboo stick is going to break, and the moment it breaks, then all hell uh, loose, everything goes into chaos, and again you will go back to your uncontrolled sense gratification. So this is the situation. So like Prabhupada compares it like with the venomous serpents, and as we know that these serpents are very are having that poisonous fangs, from which it can ooze out the poison, and it can inject into the body of any living entity. And so even at the slightest touch, why the snake is it always want to attack, is because it is always want to defend itself. It's always afraid of an enemy, and because of that, the first thing it does is it just hisses and then uses its fang, so that it can pulverize his opponent, without thinking, without looking whether he's doing a good job. A person might come to even feed the snake with milk, but it doesn't look at all those things. It just want to attack somebody, all because of it, because it's epitome of envy, the serpent. And at the slightest movement, it just want to attack. At the same time, if those fangs are broken from the snake, then it will become completely immobile, or it is completely the poison is neutralized. Nothing can be done, and anybody can fearlessly take care of this snake. So like that, Prabhupada is giving that example. What is that breaking of the fangs or the poison? Is by engaging our senses into this bhakti yoga. The more we engage into bhakti yoga, it is like, although our senses also, sadhaka senses are also very, very commanding, very, very want to enjoy, but if we put our senses, engage in Krishna service in the bhakti yoga, then all our, even though it could be poisonous, these fangs, this can become actually inert, or it cannot be so much active, and then that way we can be saved. and then the more we engage in this devotional service, the more we can save ourselves, our soul. So like this, and Prabhupada gives the example how Vishwamitra also, we understand that he did 60,000 years of his tapas just to attain God realization. But at the end of his penance, by the supreme will of the Lord, it was disturbed just by because Brahmaji sent Menaka, an Apsara, and then because of Menaka's presence and the tinkling bells and her dance moves and all that, he was attracted and then he fell down. So like that, this Prabhupada, as he mentions, that controlling senses is not going to be our target. What we can do is we can engage our senses in a higher taste. Param drushtva nivartate. Rasoham, as 2.40 shloka in Bhagavad Gita says, Rasoham, yeah, Vishya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasoham rasovarja param drushtva nivartate. So engage that into the higher sense, which is the bhakti yoga. Then you can save yourselves. Otherwise, just controlling senses is actually not the remedy. But unfortunately, many of the yogis, many of the practitioners, they all think that they can achieve by controlling the senses. But it's going to be a very, very tough chance, and the chances of fall down is very high. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So, as Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Samhita also says about this, very famous shloka, Pantastu Koti Shatavatsara Sampragamyo, Vayo Rathopi Manasa Muni Pungavanam, So api asti Yat Prapadaseni Avichinta Tattve, Govinda Mahadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So, here Brahmaji is also telling the same thing, that there are so many yogis who are trying to approach the tip of the lotus feet of the Lord by taking meditation, by taking pranayama, by drilling their respiration. And there are other yoga jnanis trying to differentiate the Brahman or the Supreme Lord by the process of elimination. That neti, not this is not the Lord, this is not the Lord, this could be the Lord, that could be the Lord. Like that, they always doing a mental speculation and then studying so much of scriptures. They try to understand who is the Lord. But none of them, even if they do thousands and millions of years of time, if they are going to be in this endeavor, they still cannot achieve the lotus feet of the Lord, and they cannot understand the Lord. Whereas a devotee who takes to spiritual practice can easily achieve that status. So that Brahmaji is also telling, and he's highlighting how Bhakti Yoga is far superior than Jnana Yoga and the Dhyana Yoga. So, I think we have a few more minutes. In fact, there is also one more classic example of Shaubari Rishi. Shaubari Rishi's ashram is actually also in Vrindavan, in the Ramanreti, where our Krishna Balaram temple is there. And then from there, when we start in the Parikrama Marg, from the right side of the temple, if you go a little down, we get this Rishi's ashram, Gautam Rishi's ashram, and Shaubhari Rishi's ashram is also there. Of course, today is a lot visible in the sense that a lot of buildings have been occupied, and we cannot see that. But even Yamuna was flowing till that place. Now Yamuna is actually gone back about a kilometer, half a kilometer, 1 kilometer away from where our Krishna Balaram temple is today located. So now everything is occupied by buildings and officers and things like that. So this Shaubhari Rishi also was a great yogi. He was a great, perfect mystic. He knew so many varieties of yogic asanas and practices. Like walking on the water. And he was doing. He was going underground, under the water, deep down under the water, and then meditating. And so much, and that too what? For several years he was doing. Such an exalted yogi. But then he did an aparad. What is that aparad he did? That he did a Vaishnava aparad. Every time Ganga, for that Yamuna, Garudaji wanted to come, and it wanted to come and take its food in the form of the fish. But this yogi really are not understanding the law of nature, what Krishna's law of nature, like Jivo, Jivasya Jivanam. That one entity is a food for another Jiva. That is the whole samam bonam of Krishna's creation. Like an ant is eaten by a bigger, centipede or millipede, something, and this centipede is eaten by a bigger animal, like for example a lizard, or in the form same like lizard and some other thing, or maybe a rat, and the rat is eaten by a cat, or rat is eaten by a peacock, and the cat is eaten by a dog or a wolf. So like that, every jiva has, it's a food, and it is similarly for the birds. It could be a fish. For the crane, it could be a fish. For the bird, it could be a rat or a small insect, whatever it is. Like a garuda or a vulture, it could be one of these small animals, petty animals, a hare, something like that. So he had taken shelter because he was living underwater, and he was so much attached to the fishes. He thought that he's going to give them protection to the fish, and they had cursed Garudadev that he should not come and flow in this Vrindavan area where my ashram is there, where Yamuna is flowing, and you should not eat any of the fishes. So that way, he had committed an offense, and then he was protecting those fishes. Then Lord has his own plan, and finally he had to succumb to that very fish. That there were one fine day when he was meditating, he saw that two fishes were mating, and the moment he saw that mating, he got attracted to it, and then he thought that, okay, what is this? In so many years I've been doing, I'm not getting this sense and gratification, whereas these ordinary fishes, they are having this sense enjoyment. Why I also cannot get? So totally his mind changed. He got bewildered, and then he came out of his penance. And then that time the king ruling was Mandata king, and then he knew that Mandata had several daughters. So he went directly to the king and said that, see, I want to marry your daughters. And the daughters were how many? 50 daughters were there, very surprisingly. And he has gone in that his very old sage face with disheveled beard, with his locks of hair, matted hair, and as a mendicant he has gone. And how the king and queen could accept her? They said that, no, what is this? You are an old Buddha, and now you want to marry and all this, and that to not one, all 50 daughters. No, are you really joking? Like that, they started criticizing. All the people started, criticizing, and then he got very offended. He got very out of his ahankar. Again, he came back and then did some tapas, and he turned himself to be a youth of very charismatic personality and great features. And then he again went back to the king and then said that, no, now I have converted myself, become smart man, I have become energetic, you have to give your daughters. And king didn't have a choice because it's such a great mistake, and he had converted, so they were all bewildered. They said, okay, you marry. And then he was given, and then he started having children with them, and so much of gratification he did. But what happened to him? Even at the end of the day, he was not satisfied. Finally, he had to leave that grahastha ashram and then come back as a sage and a mendicant. So that's a lesson he got. So there are several instances like this. So that is the best, as Prabhupada has told us, that Bhakti Yoga is the best path. Yogi Nam api sarvesham. Among the best of the yogis, Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna said that, Mad gatena antaratmana, Shraddhavan bhajate yomam. Yeah. So teme yukta tamavataha. So he is the best yogi, that one who is always Shraddhavan bhajate mam, and who is engaged in Bhakti Yoga. So he is the best yogi. So like this, several instructions are there, and from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. If we just simply follow that, then our purpose of life will be fulfilled. So with this, I will end today's session. If there are any realizations, any comments, you can put it up.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for a very nice class. You emphasized, in a nutshell, you actually emphasized who is yogi and what is the actual meditation of a yogi and how he actually controls the senses by engaging the meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And also, you talked about the modern day yoga and which will not have any spiritual benefit, though somebody may have bodily benefits. Also, you have actually beautifully summarized the other slokas from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 12, where Sutta Goswami is glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead and how he is offering his obeisances. So you quoted several verses from Bhagavad Gita on the actual position of yogi and how they actually meditate and the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Well, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for a very nice class. And I have unmuted the lines. The devotees may please share any comments or questions. In the interest of time, maybe we can take one or two questions or comments.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. It was so inspiring for us, Prabhu. All these days, sometimes we feel this bhakti yoga is so difficult, getting up early in the morning, chanting. But you made it so simplified. You said all other yogas are very difficult and bhakti yoga is very simple. It's really inspiring, Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Nirose Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Bol. Jai Jai.
Nice nectar coming, good experience in Vrindavan. Even though your health is not good, still you could speak nicely. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Bol. All devotees mercy.
Actually, whenever I contact Prabhuji for giving Srimad Bhagavatam class, I never hear no. Prabhuji immediately accepts in the mood of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, Prabhuji. I take little bit of liberty and advantage in requesting you all the time.
Just a little Seva, Prabhu, I'm offering. But only sometimes it so happens that I'm not prepared. But still, out of devotees' mercy, I just blabber whatever I know and then I think of. So please forgive me if I made any mistakes or if I'm erring in such a way. Yeah, that's it. All. If your blessings are there, then I think it will save me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, you have very well narrated about how we should not try to control the senses rather than, that is, instead we should try to involve in higher taste, that is Bhakti Yoga. That is really it has given very nice impact on us, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol. Thanks, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Rupa Kukurna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna devotees. I think there are no questions. We can end today's session with the Vaishnava Pranam.
Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya
Patidanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namaha. Ki jai.
Yatra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Antakoti ki jai. Thy Gaur Premanande Hare Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna devotees, I will be ending the Zoom session. Krishna willing, we will meet again tomorrow morning.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.